This has been uploaded.
We are live.
We are live. I have one viewer.
That's something.
I never have that many yet, so it's fine. Just going to.
Well, they'll show up.
Yeah, it's midway to videos. I usually get a few. Well, okay, let's share it at Facebook and then.
Share it everywhere.
Share it everywhere. Everywhere. Na 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 na. Oh shit! Fuck! Oh wait, live podcast with. And then the other one.
Okay, the card game philosopher has just started broadcast.
So and I'll just see. It's fine either way. I'm going to throw this video on YouTube after this. So maybe cut a little bit, but 1, 2, 3, Bernovsky. Yes. Welcome, Bernovsky.
Janowski, that's
Okay.
that's Michiel.
Oh, that's Bernovsky. Oh, that's Michiel. All right.
Yeah, that's
You're-
why my
you're-
my sound was so loud.
Hmm.
He tried to fix it. He's my computer guy.
You're doxing him. Everyone knows who he is now. Okay, so are we going to wait a little bit or?
Uh,
Yeah, just give me
no,
one second.
mine,
I'm not sure if mine's working. I'm not sure.
Oh,
I'm just
That's fine.
following you guys. So
I'm going to cut this anyway after
I think it is.
words. So.
It's like I try to go on my YouTube channel on my phone to see the chat, but like it's not coming up. But it says we're live, and it's like seems like it's working.
Mine is working. Honestly, we just gotta put all of our heads together and build a super counter specifically built just to kill Serpent Knight. Then we just play that tech until everyone gives up on Serpent Knight. Problem solved. Yeah, I'm not gonna give up all my tournaments just to get rid of a deck. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Imagine just paying like 10 people or something to play the counter deck against Serpent Knight. Just to be the only guy ending up playing Serpent Knight.
you should be the only one playing Serpent Knight. We don't want that.
No, I mean the only one playing against it, sorry.
Okay, we are live. Everything's going.
Okay, let's go.
We're all ready. We should each do our little separate intros for the channel.
I don't have a channel.
Fair enough.
Puss.
That's what we gotta do.
I have a
Oos.
Facebook page, but it's not about speed dueling, so
Shout it out anyway, man. Cross promotion.
that's just Dutch and Belgian. So
Let all these
Nothing.
Americans join your Dutch-Belgian Yu-Gi-Oh page. They'll love it.
sometimes we host a speed duel tournament. Sometimes.
They're a Benelux exclusive. Okay, I'm already getting more viewers, so that's great. Guys, we're going to start any minute now. We're just waiting till everything's set up and then we'll start discussing. We need you guys as well to comment. It will make it even more interesting. Maybe I'll even get to 20 followers on Twitch today. Would be nice if I could get to 50 followers on Twitch before the end of October. I'm going to make that a goal.
Hint, hint.
After YCS London, I want 50 followers on Twitch. Goal set.
Did I actually follow you?
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
You're one of the most recent people that followed me.
Alright, guys, I think I'm ready. Everything seems to be working.
Alright, great. So we can get into it then, right?
Cool. I just want to do a quick intro just to introduce you guys.
Yeah. That's kind of what I mean. Like first you can do it, and then I'll introduce you to my channel. It's fine. And Youri, you can just watch us do it. Or listen, whatever. Well, go for it.
Alright, what is up, my dudes? Lex Law, Speed Duel League. We are here today with a very special podcast. This is the first episode of the Kaiba Corp Lounge podcast. I'm here with Danique Dijon. I'm here with Youri Lansman. It's been a crazy week here in Speed Duels, especially the last couple days. And we are going to go over all the news and all the developments and everything that's been happening here in the community. And it's going to be a podcast for the ages. Go and follow Danique's channel, The Card Game Philosopher. The link is in the description. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing great. What about you, Youri?
I'm fine. A little bit sick, but also fine.
Same, man.
YGO Ghent was a blast.
I just got over that cold too. I had it like last week.
Everyone is getting sick, man. The whole world is getting sick.
Yeah,
YGO Ghent was just so tiring, so.
It made your immune system weak.
I got weak. The germs got me. Need some of the aerosol. Oh, shit.
The Germans.
No, not the Germans.
They beat me into the ground, man.
They actually beat me at YGO Ghent. And that's what we're gonna talk about, because I got beat by a German guy playing Serpent Knight.
The worst possible combination.
He kicked my ass so hard. And if he's looking, if he's watching this stream now, he knows I'm talking about him.
I know you are a German guy.
Yeah.
Random German guy, number 9099. It's about you. We know where you live. You're a threat to us now. Oh, I have a new...
He should know I'm talking about him right now.
Well, good, right?
It's not a bad thing. Well, his deck is, but he's a nice guy.
Yeah, it's fine.
So, Danique, you want to introduce us on your channel real quick?
Yeah, so... What's up, guys? I can do my cocky intro where I let someone else say that I'm European Speed Duel champion. So I'm not going to talk about the fact I'm the European Speed Duel champion. It's not relevant for this discussion that I might or might not have won that championship. Okay, so now that cocky shit is over. I'm here with Lex Law from Speed Duel League and Youri Lansman, a friend of mine, and he got to top 8 at German Nationals with the burn deck back then. Like the burn deck most of you guys have seen with Gravekeeper's Curse. Partially his ID. So we're going to discuss all kinds of things like the meta, mostly the custom ban list and the bans that have come up recently. The whole discussion about what do we think about Serpent Knight. I guess that's the most interesting for all of you guys right now. So yeah. I guess that's
We can
all I
also
need to
talk about
say.
the format at large as well
Yeah,
too. Like
of
it'd be
course.
cool to talk about some of the things that could be put in to improve the format and some of the problems, like where, because it was cool earlier before the show we were talking about the previous formats. Me and Danique were, and he was going through like what made those formats good, but also what made those formats like have problems and how the metagame has developed through the formats. So it'd be nice. It'd be nice to go over something like that as well.
Yeah, okay, we can actually start with that if you want. Like,
Okay, it'd be a nice
like,
introduction to get us here, show us how we got here to the format we're at today.
yeah. So I still know the first format we had was without even a first booster set, like with just a starter deck, and the decks we had back then were Blue Eyes, obviously, like the Dragon Caller deck, because it was incredibly powerful and the most obvious choice to pretty much everyone. Because you had a Solemn Judgment in your deck, you had 3K beaters, and you had something a skill that searched it all. So that was the obvious one. Then Tribal Synergy was one of the first options people took because, well, it gave you a lot of draws and that seemed broken, which it still seems to be. But that one, in my opinion, lost popularity because the Harpy side of the deck lost incredibly hard against Blue Eyes. And then because of that, you got the Amazons deck back then, the pure Amazons, that was a counter against Blue Eyes, and that format was probably a lot like the current one, or well, the only problem about that format was the same as we have now with Serpent Night Dragon, that we had a inconsistent, powerful deck that was just too strong for all of the rogue decks. And then you had Harpy, which was a counter against Amazons and Tribal, pure Harpies. But that one lost to Blue Eyes all the time. So. And then we had this formed after that was with the first booster set. That one is still up until today my most favorite format because Blue Eyes got less play back then. Well, people still played it, but like in the competitive scene, I saw it less and less. Tribal Synergy was taking more and more wins, uh, especially because we got a lot of Blue Eyes counters. And then we got a new deck popping up, and that was Gravekeeper because it got Ambusher, a 1700 beat stick. That was great for the deck. And we got the Tomb of the Pharaoh skill, which made it sure that it was more powerful than all of the. That it was powerful enough to beat most of the rogue decks, just because it had higher attacks, and it made Gravekeeper's Assailant always live against this tribal deck, which made sure we could just switch Swordswoman to defense and crash it. Then we got the Attack from the Deep set, which started to be defined at German Nationals, when Ryan won with the Gravekeeper deck we built with Dicefoon in it.
Infamous German Nationals.
Yeah, like that was starting to become
Changed the game.
Yeah, in a big way. I'm not sure if it was a positive change, but it was certainly a change. Um, like we had the Dicefoon defining pretty much every deck. Like Tribal got less play because of it, because it got hugely countered by having all of their back row taken by that skill. Gravekeeper got a huge boost, but the mirror became really awkward because the first one we saw Dyson had an incredible advantage. Burn was a deck since that format because half shot could be changed to Dicefoon on Swordswoman and stuff, and it could draw. Relinquish was becoming a thing since that format, or actually the format before that it saw play already. Like I know Marco Koncic played it in combination with the tribal deck, which was some crazy stuff, but it was a thing. It took a few formats.
I think I lost it to Relinquish at the German Nationals.
Inas Gutic played Relinquish at German Nationals. That was a
think he
good
got
deck
top
as
4
well.
or something. Yeah.
He played.
And it was a lot more inconsistent back then too, because if you're talking about arena format, it didn't have Sonic Bird yet, because that came out in
No, exactly. It only had Senju, and it was a lot less consistent. That's why we left with the deck back then. But
I think they were playing like ready for intercepting and stuff to recycle the relinquished.
Yeah,
And
they just
yeah,
set their own relinquish and then flipped the face up again and took another thing.
so
But it was less
yeah,
consistent. It was powerful
yeah, but
already.
ready for intercepting was also great because we were in a format of just tribal and
And
gravekeepers.
Gravekeeper,
So
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
and if you play against blue eyes, just
Oh,
book
right, yeah, against Blue
the
Eyes it
Lord
was
of
great
the.
as well. You
So
you did it against Lord, yeah.
yeah,
And that's what made Blue Eyes even weaker in that format.
yeah.
Like, after all the consistency problems it already had to face, and the fact that it got no support at all, that was the nail in the coffin when there was a trap that just stopped their whole combo. Uh,
I just started paying attention since German nationals. But when did the Champions Vigilance came out?
it came out in the
The card
starter decks already.
started rec already.
Yeah, so
Well,
it had it
that
from the first set on.
that was a problem since the beginning. But it's
Yeah.
not a huge problem. But it was not a good card since to put in the beginning of the format. But
Halfway the format of Attack from the Deep, Blue Eyes saw more play simply because it was a bad matchup for Gravekeepers, and Gravekeepers started taking all the tournaments. But yeah,
since,
Blue Eyes was still too
uh,
inconsistent to do
well,
well at most events.
it's mostly because back row hate is now a thing, because Dicefoon, Nightbeam, Dust Tornado, they all exist. So Champions Vigilance and Blue Eyes, it's not really a thing anymore.
Right now, the
It's in,
reason
it's
we
interesting
don't.
to think that there was a time where, as Danique was telling me this earlier, that there was a time when there was no back row destruction. Dust Tornado wasn't out yet. Dicefoon wasn't out yet. It was all just face up
Yeah, we had
back row
the
destruction.
only destruction we had back then was Twister and
Twister, yeah.
D-Spell.
Right.
And
So
I knew Twister was actually cited because of all the field spells.
yeah, mostly against
So
Amazons and
yeah,
Tribal.
and and the Gravekeeper field spell. Well, field spell the skill.
Well, no
I
one
think
actually played it against that.
no, but you could do it. But
Yeah.
I once played the Gravekeeper skill at the locals, and they all sided Twister against me. So don't blame me.
Huh. Well, these people didn't get to top that weekend, I guess.
I got fifth. Because
Exactly.
the one that's the one that one guy, we're not gonna say his name, said, "Oh, I'm not gonna top. I'm X2." No, you are X1. You just couldn't count.
Yeah, him. Let's skip. Let's not talk about that guy.
You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
We're not gonna call it. I hate.
but yeah. So those were the formats, and then this format. Well, the only problem we had with last format, at the end of the last format, people finally found a way to play tribal through the Dicefoon skill. Like they still play tribal synergy, but they found a way to deal with the fact that all other decks were playing the Dyson skill. And I know that Michael Steinman, for example, and Enos Gutic started taking all the wins with that tribal decks. Like they defeated all Grivio decks just because we're way more consistent. And they found like they took the tempo game really early on, so that the -2 mid game wasn't impactful anymore. And they found a way to just have bigger beaters than Gravekeepers, because Gravekeeper now suddenly got weaker. The monsters themselves got weaker because we didn't play this Tomb skill anymore. And then the only problem we still had with the form was that Blue Eyes was you couldn't prepare for it. It was a sudden blowout. Like
It was there.
Gravekeepers lost to it unexpectedly. That was the thing we had.
If you didn't have a windstorm, you just lose.
Yep. And even if you did have it, you sometimes couldn't come back because, well,
Yeah, true.
it's I mean they couldn't be targeted. They had now to use beat sticks on the field, and they most of the time they also saw Champions Vigilance, which was already a problem back then, because a solemn judgment in a format like we have now at 3 isn't that balanced. And then we got to this format where we got Aerosol, and Aerosol is the sole reason, I believe, that Blue Eyes sees
Blue Eyes.
no play anymore. Because
No,
you either brick
that's
or you don't
just-
brick, and your opponent uses Aerosol and you lose anyway.
Or
you get to
you
try.
get OTK with Blue Eyes and you get aerosols, you're fucked.
Yeah. So now Tribal and
Basically.
Gravekeepers are a terrible matchup for. Like every Aerosol deck and Tribal are a bad matchup for Blue Eyes, so there's no reason to play it. Because that's pretty much all decks we have right now.
People were talking about wanting to ban Aerosol when we were talking about the ban list discussion. It's like, are you guys kidding me? That's like the only thing keeping this format together sometimes is Aerosol.
The beater decks, you know?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
only.
like what would you do against Fitting Room or even Blue Eyes at that point if you don't have Aerosol? Like it's
Against fitting room. Against fitting room, you can maybe side Possessed Dark Soul, maybe.
Yeah, but they can destroy. They've learned to deal with it, like Rune at YCSN, who got second with the Meep deck. He just plays Order to Charge. Like this is not an original idea of from him, but like those kind of decks just play Order to Charge now. Even the ones that couldn't play it again, just to chain to Possess Dark Soul, and they side Possess Dark Soul against people siding it against them. So a lot of mind game there.
True that.
So that's not a proper solution. The big thing making Aerosol fair, the two big things are, first of all, it halves damage for the rest of the turn, which is
so important.
Really important.
And everybody forgets that.
Yeah. And but that's their mistake.
Everybody forgets it too, yeah.
That's their mistake. Like if you're a proper player, you shouldn't forget it. I mean,
no.
The skill is popular enough to at least know that, okay, from now on I should remember I take half damage. And the second thing is it destroys. There are three things actually. The second thing is that it also destroys your monsters, meaning that you can't just play it mindlessly. Like you have to think about, like, am I prepared to also sacrifice my monsters? And the last thing is it only destroys face-up monsters. So if you set any card, you're already playing around it.
Playing around your own and your opponent's.
Yeah. So that's something that you can skillfully play.
It has a more skill-based requirement to it, you know, like unlike Dice Foon Lucky Day, which Dice Foon Lucky Day is basically you just get to nuke two. It's a pseudo Harpy's Feather Duster, and that doesn't even include the whole Night Beam thing, which is what we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, because everybody is just comparing those two together. Like, it's
in a vacuum.
Yeah.
Like we're in a format with only 3 spell trap card zones and a 4-card starting hand. Dice Foon takes half of your starting hand out of back row. Like if you open 3 back row and a monster, which is one of the best hands you could probably get, you're taking half of your resources already. Then you only have like 1 monster and 1 back row left. If they also see Night Beam, which is a thing now, and Dust Tornado, they can take your last back row. That's assuming you have probably one of the best hands possible. They have taken all your back row and take your monster after that because you have no defense. And then they can still set their own
for
back
example,
row.
we tested for the giant card in Ghent, and I didn't play any back row hate. But Danik played the exact same deck as I did, same ID, and just played 2 Night Beam, 2 Dust Tornado, and 1 Dice Foon.
Yep, your opponent is pretty much pretty much obliged to only set 1 back row because if they see Joey's skill, you know, okay, I can't set 2 if I have 2 cards because that's just being greedy and I'm going to be punished for it. So you just set 1, hoping that they don't use Dice Foon on it, or if they use Dice Foon on it, it's a 1-for-1 and that's at least a fair change. Oh, they also play Night Beam. Well,
yeah,
guess I'm fucked.
I focused just to tilt the opponent to the grind game, but Danik just focused. Let's just kill all the backline and then have the bigger beater. Well, we played the same beaters, like Blade Knights, Hammerhead, and I just got destroyed because I didn't have any back row left to play with. It's back row hate it's not a problem in this format, but if you combine it all together, like Dicefoon, Lucky Day, and Nightbeam, you just can't play.
And the problem too is that the back row in speed duels doesn't actually do anything on its own. It's not like we have Sakuretsu armor or something which removes the card
No.
from the field, and it's not like we have spells that like Shield Crush. I think Atlas was mentioning would be a good addition to the format. It's
Yeah,
like
he took
all the
that. He
back
took
row
that statement
does.
back, by the way.
Sorry.
He took back that statement because he said like, okay, even that's probably too powerful.
Yeah, probably, but it's just an example, right? It's like Tribute to the Doomed might be a little bit more balanced because you have to give up a card to use it. But the problem is that all the back row, all the traps in this format right now, mostly just switch battle positions, and then
Yeah.
that requires you to have a monster to actually deal with the threat, And because I was doing this experiment, this like thought experiment, it's like, okay, if I go first and I play a monster and I play a windstorm, my opponent goes and plays on his turn monster and windstorm and then attacks. I use my windstorm, put his monster to defense position. My turn comes around. I attack with my monster. He windstorms me. And now let's say I have no other back row. I didn't draw another back row or it got destroyed or whatever. Then my opponent now has the advantage and my windstorm effectively did nothing. It just bought me a turn, which is okay, but with all the back row hate around, especially with Nightbeam not being able to be chained to, the back row doesn't give you any actual value.
Yeah.
Where something like a Sakuretsu armor or something like that would actually do something for you, have a lasting impact on the board.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I guess it's fun. I like, at least that's an opinion. That's not an objective truth or anything. But in my opinion, it's fun that we have these kinds of back row, meaning that we can only gain advantage through battle. Like that's something we've lost in the advanced forms and stuff. Like gaining advantage through battle is something that's rarely seen in modern Yu-Gi-Oh. And I like getting advantage like that. And it's a good way and it's, in my opinion, it's a fun way to have. You have to get used to it, but once you know how it works,
it makes the game interesting.
Yeah, it gives a tic tac, like a ping pong game. Like, let's say it like that. Like, I shoot a ball, you shoot a ball, and we go back and forth. And like some people get bored by that because they just want to have the game ended in 2-3 turns. And well, that's an opinion. You can have that, but I like the
And
fact
there are
that you
games
can.
for them, right?
Yeah, like if you want the game to end in like 2 or 3 turns, go play the advanced format. It's perfect for that.
Or even dueling.
Yeah, even dueling's right now because it got power crept as well.
For some reason, now we're talking about this, it feels like the Game Boy games of Pokemon. Everybody gets just a turn to attack and to respond. It's so simple, and that's why I like the Blade Knight deck with the hammerhead from Jelly. It's just put a monster on the field, attack, nothing more.
It is a weird deck, but it wins in simplicity. It does the
Yes,
simple
and
things perfectly.
I played advanced format for so long now, and like you say, it's just a game of negation now. Who puts up the bigger board? Speedball is nothing like that. It's just maybe you have the bigger beater, but the simplicity in this game just makes it. And then a card like Nightbeam is, in my opinion, a bigger problem than Dicefoon. Maybe that's the wrong opinion, but
I think the two of them coexisting together is the problem.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, it's
something
exactly that.
trying to leverage with the ban list that Marco was putting out. And I think we're going to be doing the same thing in our tournaments here. I think we're going to be banning Dicefoon as well, because at least Nightbeam is 1-for-1. At the very least, it's 1-for-1, and you have to give up a card to do it.
Whereas,
you guys know that Marco changed the Dicefoon ban, right?
He did.
He isn't banning it anymore.
He isn't banning it. That's simply because he some people
It
came
just
up with an argument against it, and well, Dice Moon isn't that obvious to ban like other things that we're going to do, like
he,
limit Gentlemander and how he's
he
going to
didn't want
ban
an
the skills.
uprising of Amazons,
Yeah, like without Dyson,
Fair
even
enough.
how
tribal or
unfairly it
something.
is, like we have to admit, it's pretty much unfair. But even as unfair as it is, it's pretty much the only well, it's the pretty much only good counter we have against Amazons or tribal not taking everything. Like the only other way I usually win against tribal, but with Gravekeeper. But the only way I can is like
So the card isn't balanced.
it's a terrible way how I have to win against that deck. The only way
So
I win
so
is
the
because I
card
win
isn't
off deck
balanced.
out. Yeah, the
Okay,
guy
so the card isn't balanced, but it's balancing the game. So
it's a necessary
it's
evil.
yeah,
Right. That's
yeah.
a good way of saying it.
And
It's
Okay, so now let's get into the real big daddy here that everybody's actually pissed off about. So Serpent
the
Knight
skill.
Dragon, Nightmare Sonic Blast skill. Now it's funny because
boy,
originally, before we get into like Gentlemander, it was originally Marco was just going to ban Nightmare Sonic Blast. He was going to ban Dice Foon, and then no one was talking about Gentlemander. And then I went and suggested, I said, actually, Gentlemander should be banned or at least limited to one as well. You know, so is Nightmare Sonic Blast as bad if Gentlemander isn't in the format?
yes.
That's the answer I was going to say as well.
I played against the Serpent Knight deck for a very long time. I play against its multiple opponents, and a lot of them don't even play the Gentlemander.
Which is wrong.
Maybe, but
Mhm.
some of them don't play it. And it's it's the skill that makes it a problem. Like it just if they get it on board, the Serpent Knight with tribute doll or something, it doesn't matter what, or just tribute something with double custom. It's every turn you can stack your deck. That's one problem. The other one, you can gain a plus. You can gain a card to your hand. The third problem is the other skill. Like all three skills of that one skill is a problem because you can also pop a card.
Any
Everybody,
card, not
yeah,
no
any
restriction.
card, and everybody's a lot of people are saying, okay, but it's just luck based. No, because you can stack a card. You can stack your 4 cards in any order you want, and people are playing a fast draw.
Yeah, the
So
also stacks your deck.
you always hitting right. So if if they only see 2 monsters with advanced draw, they just pop your cards. If they always hitting something. If okay, sometimes you're unlucky and they see 4 cards, 4 spell traps.
or
Yeah,
even two.
or
Yeah,
Sometimes just
but that
not getting the hand trap to your hand can or the champion's vigilance can be a problem as well.
yeah,
But
they
yeah.
can add champion's vigilance. That's a huge problem.
Yeah, this is just that the deck, right? In my opinion, like there are two big problems about the deck, and the first problem is of course like what we're saying, like how we're immediately addressing is the fact that it's it feels unfair first of all, and it just has such a high ceiling that other decks just can't compete once it starts playing. Like the fact that it has a solemn judgment to its archetype, the fact that it can go +2 every turn, like one to your hand and one removing from the opponent, and this is taking no cards of take no cards of them because it just flip their skill. They just get this out of nothing, and the fact that it can stack their own deck, so they're not based on lucky draws or anything. Is well, those are a few problems combined, and then the so that's yeah already terrible. The fact that there are pretty much no outs against it because even now it even starts some builds even start to play interdimensional matter transporter, which vanishes until the
I
end of the
just
turn.
wanted to talk about it. I
Yeah,
just wanted to say that interdimensional
yeah,
meta transporter,
like now they even if you see aerosols or aerosol oracle, they can just
or
they can
or
they,
hammerhead or anything.
yeah, something like that.
Just
They
an
can just banish it and poof back. And like against
interdimensional outs. Every out to Serpent Knight.
yeah, so
Every single one as well.
yeah, so
I
that's
I can't I can't think of any other out at this
yeah.
point.
And with Gentlemander
There
and Spear Creepos, they already outed semi outs like Hammerhead and those kind of things. Yomi ships and stuff are too slow because they can just pop it. And same with
And,
actually
and if
things
it's in
like other
defense as well, it's in defense position, it's
yeah.
not going to do anything.
Hmm.
Which most people do off the tribute doll on the first turn. They have their Serpent Knight in defense position.
Yeah, and if it's in defense
and,
position, most cards don't even get over it because it has more defense than attack for some reason. Which like things
It's
like
a
a
really
decent
weird
trap hole,
monster to do
like a
that.
decent trap hole and those kind of things don't affect it as well because it just summon it in defense. Oh, now I can't even do what I wanted to do against it. Like all of these
yeah,
things
and
combined,
if
and then on top of it,
siding traps against Serpent Knight is always too slow because then they have the vigilance.
yep. And then on top of
So
all of those kind of things that make it unfairly advantageous, there's the biggest problem about the deck, in my opinion, and that's the fact that it's so inconsistent. If it was
Which
a
is crazy. It's counterintuitive, right?
yeah, it's countering. It's the biggest counter against Serpent is itself. Like playing the deck, you play it. You brick sometimes because you play so many cards that you can't see together. Like the interdimensional meta transport, you can't see them together. The vigilance, you can't see them. The Serpent Night Dragon itself that you play multiples of, you can't. All those cards combined make it so inconsistent that you actually
oh,
can't properly play it yourself. If it
that,
was
that
consistent, you could just say like, okay, it's unfair, but at least I can play it myself. I take it to a tournament and I can top with it. But it's
If
one
we
of
were
the
in a
worst
tier 0
choices.
form.
It would be a still tier 0 format, but at least it would be a format where you can play the best deck.
no, but well, that's the problem. You can only play and win against the deck if it doesn't really break.
Yeah, so the only options you have is you play it and it breaks and you win without actually playing, or they don't
Or
break
you're just a
and
good
they win
stacker.
because it's so unfairly because it gets such an unfair advantage against you, or they don't break. You see a god hand, which is unfair and improbable, and you win that way. So those are the only kinds of games you can have against a deck, which are all terrible
Yeah,
ways
so
to play
I just
against it.
want to clarify this for the audience. You put it really perfectly earlier, Danique, when we were talking before the show. So
Yeah.
the issue with the deck is its inconsistence, which is a counterintuitive thing. You'd think, well, doesn't that make the deck more fair, right? But see, if the deck was consistent and it was just the top best deck of the format, and you could always pick it up and go play it and win with it, and then there would be a counter meta that develops around this card existing, right?
Yeah.
The problem with Serpent Knight Dragon is its own inconsistency because it turns the format completely into a luck based format because of this card existing in the metagame. Because if you, like you said, there are three things that happen when you sit down and play Serpent Knight Dragon. Either you brick and you lose, and your opponent gets a free win for not doing anything. Number two, you go and you draw the outs, and they don't draw the outs, and then the opponent wins, right? They draw the outs to Serpent Knight Dragon. Or three, you just go God Hand them, and you stack the deck, and everything goes perfectly, and you cannot be damaged, you cannot be answered in any way, shape, or form, and then you dominate the opponent. So all three things are luck-based and non-interactive.
Yeah.
It's not like you can do anything once Serpent Knight Dragon hits the board to deal with it other than draw your aerosol or your order to charge. And then even things like, Michizure is something people are thinking of using to counter it, but Michizure, we don't even know if it works because it
Yeah,
should
it
miss the
missed.
timing
Yeah, it missed
according
timing.
to, right? It should miss the timing, right? So there are very
Yeah.
limited answers to it, and it just creates a luck-based format because, like we said, if it was just a good, solid deck and you could just win with it all the time, there would be an element of skill there where you either have to decide, will I play the tier 0 deck or will I play the counter meta decks? And then if I'm going to play the tier 0 deck, do I try to counter the counter meta? But the fact
Yeah.
that it's just a gamble, it adds a level of inconsistency to the format, and then all the other decks have to dedicate spots in their deck, in their side deck or main deck, to defeating this deck. And then it takes away from all of the other matchups that they could be playing. And then they might not, and then that might all be for naught anyway, because they draw all the counters, they draw all the magic jammers and the aerosols and stuff like that. And then they just lose anyway, or they stack their deck full of those and they win because the opponent bricks. That's the real problem with Serpent Knight Dragon that people don't seem to understand. It's not because it's tier 0. It's not because it's just dominating the format. It's because it just turns the format into a crapshoot.
Yep. Exactly. I couldn't have said it better. Like this, that's the whole problem. Like, I'm not trying to be salty or anything about the deck because I don't care if there's a deck that's way stronger than my favorite deck or anything. Like, I think in a way maybe Tribal is already better than my favorite Gravekeeper deck in like last few formats. But the fact that you have this, but previous formats you could at least try to counter the best deck. Like every format we had before this, we had like a deck that was pretty much more powerful, and everyone else just tried to counter it in some way. Or we had one or two decks that were the best and clashed against each other, so you just chose one of these two decks and, well, just try to counter the other two. Now we get this deck that we have to counter, but it's not played enough to actually make the counters worth playing, and other people don't prepare for it at all, so you have to counter these people as well. Like, you have three matchups right now, and that's one of the problems. Like, you have Serpent Knight Dragon, which is a terrible matchup for pretty much everything. Even for Serpent Knight Dragon, ending up against Serpent Knight Dragon is a bad matchup. Then you have the grind decks like Tribal, Blade Knight, Gravekeeper, those kind of decks you have, and playing those decks, you need to be prepared with an actual grind, a deck that can actually grind throughout all the resources and not lose the deck out or anything. And then you have one of the other decks that is a problem. You can't really solve this deck with a ban because, well, the card pool should just be larger or something, I think.
It's a Frankenstein deck.
Yeah.
All the
if you take out,
together.
Sorry, you guys phase out for a bit. What deck?
Like, the deck hasn't been mentioned yet. Like, this is the Frankenstein deck that, even if you would ban one or two of their key cards, they would still come back with just other alternatives because we just have too much cards supporting it. That's Stall. And Stall you can
One of my
prepare
most
for
popular videos to date was Stall.
Best deck.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Youri is a terrible person and likes to play things like Stall and Burn and all those kind of decks, so he's all for it.
Yeah, people get so triggered.
Like, there's luckily
I kind of love it.
like there are at least Stall has outs to hit. Just play Pierce, yeah, that doesn't always work. Like, if they have two Gentlemander, piercing things are not going to work. Thank you, Rune. Anyways. Like,
Stall is, in my opinion, the main reason why Gentlemander needs to be limited. But
both Stall and Serpent are reasons for it. Like, the fact that two of the better decks, like, I think Stall is still tier 2 in a way, but it's in the format, and if you're not prepared for it, you're going to lose against it.
well,
Simple as that.
Stall loses to Gravekeepers. That's
Yeah.
It does get whooped by Gravekeepers. It's pretty difficult for them to win.
Yeah. So that's
I talked about that in my tier list videos. Like, the big thing holding Stall back. There are two
It's
things
Oracle.
holding it back: is Oracle as well as Serpent Knight Dragon. Serpent Knight
Yeah.
Dragon was also keeping Stall back as well.
yeah. So those kind of things make it, Well, yeah.
Stall has a lot of bad matchup though. Like the fitting room deck, it's crazy.
It also has really good matchups, though. It in my testing with it, it dominates tribal. Absolutely mercilessly dominates
Yeah.
tribal, even
Well,
when they
the,
draw
that,
3 cards.
that depends. If it's more of a harpy based build, you win. If it's more of an Amazon's build with the Amazon's field spell, you have terrible luck. Because if
It's a
you
bit
play
closer.
yeah if you play on the Yomi ship, if you play a stall build on the Yomi ship or a man eater bug, then then yeah, you can pop everything, but you just special another one. Okay, they go deck out faster, but stall is easy to side against. Just side one or two Jar of Avarice or something.
Well, the thing is that Stall also is playing Jar of Avarice, so
Yeah, true, true, true.
it can out gun you. But the big thing against Stall is
Mhm.
trainee. If you're playing Yomi ship
Yeah,
and Zombina and stuff like that, and also I was playing Command Knight in my Stall deck, so that you had an additional lock condition, and then the Amazonas monsters have a harder time getting past that 1900 defense. So you'd kind of like
Mhm.
you kind of choose between like Yomi ship Zombina or uh, Command Knight and like something else, and then you'd have like the rest of the cards you need in the side deck. So if your opponent's playing a bunch of trainees, you kind of bring out the Zombinas and the Yomi ships. You make sure you have full Man Eater bugs, Blast Spheres, and you have Command Knight, which is really good. And then you can also side Warrior Elimination if you wanted it as well in
Yeah.
that matchup.
There are a lot of things you can side against Command Knight. So that makes him a lot less. Like first of all, he takes 2 turns instead of one, like the Gentleman Lock. That's nice. The fact that you can ready for intercepting, warrior elimination. What
true.
else do we have? Like we have multiple cards that work against Command Knight, and the fact that he's slower is that on top of each other
And
is yeah.
Command Knight also will not protect your third monster on the field. So this is our little segue then into
Yeah.
the Gentlemander lock here. Real quick about Stall, at least the thing with Stall is that Stall it has interaction. So like there's interaction in the game state that leads to an interesting game, even if it's long and drawn out,
Yeah.
unlike Serpent Knight Dragon.
It's not a fun
Which,
game, but at least you can play it out skillfully.
Yes, that's exactly. So then when it comes to Gentlemander, the problem, so we limited Gentlemander to 1 because 2 is the problem. For everybody that doesn't know, you summon 1 Gentlemander on your turn, and then your opponent's turn, they attack, you special summon the other one, and now you cannot attack anything on the field anymore. And the difference between Command Knight and Gentlemander, like you said, Command Knight takes 2 turns to bring out, there's more answers to it, but 2 Gentlemanders on the field will protect your Serpent Knight Dragon, so you can't even try to attack that. It'll protect your other monster that you have on the field. Maybe you have like Dark Red Enchanter or something, and you're able to, make your opponent discard all the time or something like that. Just an out there example. But Command Knight, 2 Command Knights on the field will protect each other, but they won't protect your third monster if you bring out a third monster.
Yeah,
Something.
exactly. And that's just something that shouldn't be in a for. But the Gentleman Lock is just like you can just limit it, and that would solve the whole problem.
The thing with Gentlemander is that it comes from the hand. It comes as a surprise. Like it's not a surprise because
if they normal
you need one
summon
of the
Gentlemander, you know what's going to happen.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the like a pro for the Gentlemander lock, you can just out it with aerosol. But then the thing is, not everybody is playing aerosol. Like
Not every deck can.
No.
yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. Like Serpent Knights can't, but they have an insta out in their own deck. But then we have tribal.
We don't.
They have
It's also other decks besides tribal. Like for example, Skull Servants. Like that's the lower tier deck in my opinion. But even them and Blade Control also can. Like some Blade Control decks can because they can at least use the aerosol skill. But it's just
I was actually main
you shouldn't be forced into playing a skill simply because these unhealthy cards are in the game.
Exactly.
Like, you should have these choices, and people are saying like, "Oh, gentlemen, are you just hating on it because some people actually said on Facebook and stuff like, you only hate Gentlemander because it gives cheap decks a hand trap."
Oh man, that was so stupid when they said that.
Yeah, like, that's not
Okay,
the reason
guys.
we're against it. You can have it at 1. We don't
Okay.
care. If it didn't
Okay,
have the
I
lockout
guys,
effect, you could have it at 3. We don't care.
for the people, for the people who are listening right now, watching right now, I have no money. I am a cheapskate. I rather
Please share
borrow
more
all
of
my
this.
cards than buy them, and I want Gentlemen to be limited. So that's not the thing right now. It's not a cheap link rebo, okay?
Sphere
Sphere
creep,
rebo.
yeah.
So it's not a money issue. The cards can be limited because a lock is not fine.
Yeah, the lock is the real problem. Is that it just like this is? I'll tell you guys the moment when I decided to go with the bans because I was on the opposite side of the bans. I was against them, and I was even like preparing a video where I was gonna like low key and politely call you guys out for for this, but I was sitting there and I was playing King of Skull Servants, and I played one game against Serpent Knight Dragon, and I won simply because it bricked completely. And then I was playing the second game. I was winning that game. I was like one turn away from KOing him, and he normal summons Gentlemander. And I was just like, I don't have a single out in my deck to deal with that. It's like, okay, I could Mitch Azure, but he's probably going to destroy my back row. And even if I manage to Mitch Azure the Gentlemander, that's going to buy him enough time, because I didn't have it in my hand. It's going to buy him enough time to get out to Serpent Knight Dragon, and then I'm really screwed, and I don't really have a way to deal with Serpent Knight Dragon. So that's the moment I was like, you know what? This is unhealthy, because I just had that wave of defeat wash over me. Like, I don't have any outs to this. I have no way to deal with the Gentlemander lock. And like, what can you do against it? Right? It's like aerosol, but okay, like we said, that decks that don't play aerosol shouldn't be forced to play aerosol in the side deck because of that, to give up their entire deck, like King of Skull Servants, Tribal, giving up their entire deck, their entire strategy of their deck to deal with that one card, and then I just kind of lost my train of thought there, but
It's fine.
but yeah, it's just you shouldn't be forced to play. Yeah, because we're talking about outs. The only other outs, okay, order to charge, but that forces you to play normal monsters. So that forces you to play either subpar monsters, and then again, you need both cards on the field and give up a -1 to out a friggin' 1200 attack Gentlemander, which is ridiculous. And then Mitch Azure, well, okay, but like against Stall, a good opponent isn't going to go and attack you if they know you're playing Mitch Azure. They're just going to sit there and set things in defense position. So you don't have proactive answers, right?
Yeah, like if you know that your opponent is probably not playing any outs, for example, the Gentlemander lock, like the first thing I would do as a competitive player is ask them how many cards in deck.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or I would maybe wait a turn. Yeah, like that's how I like. Unfortunately, it's also one of the ways that I win against tribals. I would have no, like, if you're in a tournament competitively, I feel no shame winning by deck out against my opponent. If that is a sure way to win, yeah, I'll go for it anytime. And every competitive player probably would. Like, if they're actually going to attack, they're just greedy for no reason.
True.
One time I was playing Serpent Knight Dragon, and I was playing. I think it was on my YouTube channel. I was playing against King of Skull Servants, and about halfway through the game, he realized that he did not have a way to out me, so he switched to a stall strategy to try to deck me out, and he almost won. I managed to beat him on like the last turn, but that is a very real thing that you need to be able to do and be able to recognize as a competitive player is like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you're just gonna have to switch gears, especially in a
Okay.
20 card deck format.
Yeah, it's like what with Patrick Hoban says. You have to know who's the beatdown, and you have to feel that.
Yep.
Like good players can feel that in at any time, and can form the way in that can form the match into something that they can feel like. Oh, by the way, I got a little question, Lex. If you're Enos is asking if he can still join because he's actually calmed down and really likes the way we're discussing right now. It's up to you
That would be
because I'm
that would be
biased.
wonderful. I'd love to have him here. He just needs
He's
to be in
welcome.
Discord.
Yeah,
Nice
you
guy.
just need to give him permission to get to the voice chat. He's probably still in your Discord.
Oh yeah, what's
I have a
his
question about
what's his username?
His username is NVUS Inox GTC. He's probably listening.
I don't know if he's in the Discord. I see Mike Steinman as the only NVUS.
Okay, I'm talking to him right now. You are? Yeah, he says he is. Wait, I'll look for it. Oh, weird.
also
I can't
see
see him
only
either.
one NVUS.
I can't see him either.
He might be offline.
It's weird though. Okay, you guys can come. I'll figure it out with him. Oh,
I'm just scrolling through the offline members. You got me on that train. I want to find him.
The Lost Son.
Also, I want to mention this real quick too. It's funny that a lot of people on Facebook were accusing us of only trying to ban something because we can't beat it and we're not having success in this format. And it was a lot of the big people calling for this ban were the top players and then community organizers. Like I don't consider myself a top player, but I'm a community organizer, right? We were the ones who were calling for it. So then naturally people are like, "Oh yeah, they're just salty because they're not doing very well in the format." And then if you go look at the results for our ongoing Speed Duel League tournament, pretty much all you guys are in the top 8. Atlas didn't join the tournament because he was late, but all you guys are either like in top 8 or contesting for top 8. So it's like It has nothing to do with whether we're doing well or not. It has to do with health of the game.
Let me be clear. I am hella salty about Serpent Knight. The deck is crazy.
It is ridiculous.
Sorry.
Yeah, but you can be salty about it and have a bias, a non-biased opinion about it. Like, for example, like I've been, as you said, Lex, I've been in the top 8 of pretty much every tournament hosted lately, like in the last 2 months, or in this format even. But that's not what it's about. Even if I was only last place, it doesn't really, it shouldn't matter. Like, you should be able to listen to someone and hear their statement and just realize, okay, there's some truth in this. Like the fact that I actually have to every time at Facebook with the discussion, it's like I come up with a statement or I say something or someone else says something and I say like, okay, that's actually not true because of this and this reason. I try to have an argument or something. And then these people are just like, you don't know what you're talking about. You're just salty. You just lose locals. You don't even play real tournaments. Blah, blah, blah. They assume all those kind of things. I don't like the fact that I actually, because I'm joking about it most of the time, but at these times I actually have to put a certain body part of mine on the table and just talk like, okay, I'm not playing real tournaments or I'm not having success, but is that what you're saying? Like, if you actually want about in real life tournaments, I probably won the most prestigious thing you can win at Speed Duels right now as a real life tournament. Like, how much more do you want me to prove myself? I've gotten in the tops of all of it. I'm trying my best, and at the online tournaments, which are even bigger than the real life tournaments. So they should actually be seen as something even more prestigious. And
Which is
everyone
crazy.
has, yeah, like it's crazy that we
Like
get so many people.
like 80% of the people here probably doesn't even know me, so I don't care.
Yeah, and you got top eight at German nationals, which was one of the two biggest tournaments in real life we've ever had as an official tournament. Like we've got to the higher places in these tournaments, and they
I just doesn't don't care if they don't know me.
yeah, but like it's not about me about them not knowing us. That's not like we don't care. Like oh, okay, I'm going to be honest. I have an ego. Not gonna lie, a fake ego most of the time, but so I'm happy if they recognize me, but they don't have to. And they shouldn't.
Okay,
I shouldn't
so
be introducing myself as I have this, I've done this, and this every time I'm trying to win an argument. Like I have to
Yeah,
mention all these things before they even take me seriously, and then they back up
okay,
again.
because
okay,
everybody
so
just goes with the argument from authority. It's like your arguments stand on their own. It has nothing to do with who you are, what prestige you have, what your credentials are. It's just straight up is, does your argument make sense?
Yeah, like look
Go
at my
ahead, Yuri.
Hello,
argument.
guys.
Hey,
Yo,
Inas,
Inas,
hey,
welcome.
Thanks for having me.
It's
glad
fine,
to
man.
have you.
Would love to have someone finally be pro S&D because you are pro Serpent Knight Dragon and skill, right?
Who, me?
Yeah, right. Do you mean you're not pro Serpent Knight Dragon?
No, 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 no. I'm absolutely against it.
How can you? How can
That
you
goes
be?
for you.
I am sure you only win locals.
No, the thing is, I don't like Super Knight Dragon because of multiple reasons. I had some arguments about this already today, and some people were calling me like yeah, I just want to play Gravekeeper, and I lost one game against Serpent Knight Dragon in my life, and I'm salty, so I created the ban list for it. The thing is, um, the way the meta had to change because of Serpent Knight Dragon. Like I'm playing Gravekeepers since it's out, but this format I would love to stop with it because it's really getting boring. But I need to play the deck because it consistently can beat Serpent Knight Dragon without changing my main deck as as it is used to be.
That's very true.
And I have also main deck answers to stall with double oracles, so I can just wait for them set free, get some setup, destroy all face down monsters, and push for game. I decided to play this deck because it answers the problem decks, and the argument I want to play Gravekeepers isn't true. It's more of a I need to play it to keep winning.
That's something we didn't actually talk about yet either, was that Gravekeepers consistently beat Serpent Knight Dragon, like you said. And so that, what does that do? It pushes Gravekeeper higher up in the tier list and higher up in the representation and the power level of the game. So now everybody's already complaining about Gravekeepers, and then we're like, hey, let's ban Serpent Knight Dragon. And they're like, oh, how could you?
Yeah,
How could you do that?
yeah,
And it's
that's
like,
the
God,
problem.
Gravekeepers is just going to keep getting better.
No,
Yeah,
and
like
that's
with the
something. That's
Serpent Knight Dragon ban, we are ensuring that Gravekeeper also loses some of its power. Like its main power is it can beat a big variety of decks just by its main core. Oracle is a really broken card, but it's not unbeatable. Like the format before, everyone was thinking Gravekeeper is the best deck. It was represented by every pie chart, and the biggest problem was Tribal then, because Tribal beats Gravekeeper consistently. If we remove Serpent Knight Dragon, maybe Tribal has again its time to shine, but Gravekeeper can still compete, and then they're following other decks, Skull Servants. How does it perform in this meta right now without Serpent Knight Dragon? Because it has no out to Gentlemander, it has no out to no consistent out to Serpent Knight Dragon for me. So yeah,
yeah.
we are actually taking away Gravekeeper's power than increasing it.
We're making a bit more variety in the metagame too, right? Because it's like you know, because if you say like the natural ecosystem of a format is that, you know, one deck starts to rise up to the top, and then people start to play its counters, and then that starts to get weaker, and then people start playing the counters to that, right? So if tribal starts to get better because Gravekeepers is everywhere, well, guess what? Stall crushes tribal. So now people start to play stall more, right? And then, well, if
Does
stall
it?
becomes, yeah, it kind of depends. Like it's a more it's closer than you know, like Gravekeeper versus Serpent Knight Dragon or something like that, which is, you know, Gravekeeper just utterly demolishes it.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that Stall struggles with is trainee, but you can choose not to play Yomi Ship and things like Zombina in favor of Maneater Bug, Blast Sphere.
Yeah,
You know,
but
it's,
without some Bina, you lose to Oracle. So
yeah, exactly, right? So that's what I'm saying is that if, you know, Stall starts to do well against Tribal because Tribal is doing well against Gravekeepers, Gravekeepers does well against Stall, and it creates a cycle that, you know, one of these decks is kind of at the top, and they're changing, they're interchanging, and then none of these decks crush the rogue decks like Danique was talking about back in the day with Blue Eyes. Blue Eyes just kind of crushed all the rogue decks, so you couldn't play rogue decks. Rogue decks can still exist in this format, and you know, because King of Skull Servants is a really strong deck in a lot of the time, but it really gets wrecked by trainees. So if trainees and Amazonists are kind of waning right now because the other decks are, you know, Stall is coming around now, people are playing Gravekeeper to counter Stall, then, you know, Skull Servant might have a chance to come in and do well for a bit, you know. So it creates a more balanced, healthy ecosystem where it's not just like, all right guys, we all have to play Gravekeepers or else we're just going to lose a Serpent Knight Dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like how you get the changing format the whole time, so it doesn't get boring or something like that. Because I would love to ignore Serpent Knight Dragon. I know it's not the best deck possible, and it's also not the most consistent, but it still has some sheer power. When it goes off, it utterly smashes you. And the problem is, if we remove that problem, we remove also the RNG factor for matches. Because if I'm prepared against Serpent Knight Dragon, like I have to remove some kunais from my main deck and play some um, I don't know, night beams or stuff like that to first out the vigilance if they play it, and then I have to have the hidden parasite, and then I still need to keep advantage with them, and that's something. It gets really hard, and then I face somebody in tournament which just completely ignores the Serpent Knight Dragon match, and he just got lucky because he didn't face any, and I'm getting punished by it. Like I feel always I got punished because I was the better player, because I was over prepared for something.
because you
And
prepare for the meta.
Yeah.
yeah, that's it. Like I wanted to be prepared for Serpent Knight Dragon, and then somebody plays tribal, like the huge counter matchup for Gravekeepers with only like no main deck answer to Serpent Knight Dragon. And then they always say like, yeah, but we cite one hurdle room and this is enough to Serpent Knight Dragons, and that's the moment where I shake my head really hard.
It's so bad, man, because it's like it's oh man, I see
It's
people saying that too about heirloom. It's like, yeah, heirloom will just deal with it. It's like, oh yeah, okay, so you're gonna attach heirloom, you're gonna attack, they're gonna spear and Karibo or Gentlemander you, and then they're gonna blow you up and get a 2-for-1 on their turn. Like GG.
Yeah, or even Vigilance. And most of the
Yep.
time their plan is like, yeah, but imagine I draw two, and yeah.
Yeah, but I'll
Oh,
just
more
win. I'll
RNG.
just win somehow. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
this is the
mostly the
argument, you know?
it's
I win somehow.
yeah.
It's
I've
possible.
played against my friend in my kitchen, and I win all the times. Does he play vigilance? No, no, he doesn't play vigilance. Does he play gentleman? No, no, he doesn't play gentleman. Ah, okay. Then I might see how you win.
Meta solved.
Yeah,
Like if it
exactly.
was that simple, do you think so many of the, let's say, better players, like I'm not gonna use any other term, let's say so many of the better players are actually complaining about it? If it was as simple as just I cite one heirloom, no one would be complaining about it. it was solved that simple. And okay, you don't always have to assume like, oh, if all the good players are struggling with it, my ID probably isn't valid, but they heard your opinion and they gave you proper reason why it doesn't work. If you're still going to answer something like, oh, but somehow it will work, assume it won't. It's very simple. It's very simple in that matter. Like there is there probably isn't a proper way for tribal to out Serpent Night Dragon. Like at Ghent, a tribal list won again, and huge props to him because Jelly, he was at my channel earlier. He's a really good player, but he just ignored the Serpent Knight matchup. Most of it, like
He told
he
us.
main decked one Wild Tornado, and he told so that's at least something he did again to prepare for Serpent Knight Dragon.
Yeah,
But
at least he was prepared.
yeah, he was prepared in some way. Like
Yeah.
and he cited two heirloom, if I can remember correctly. So and the field spell, of course, so that he wouldn't get out of Amazons. Like he sided to a more Amazon heavy build just to counter a lot some decks. So he was prepared, but uh, he didn't play any of the Serpent Night Dragons there. Youri played against all of them, and well, still props to both of them. But that's usually how Tribal gets to top now. Like they just hope they don't see the deck because they can't properly
Jelly
win
didn't
against
play
it.
any of them.
No, like in the
This is like,
yeah.
I don't know, you're going into, like, let's say advanced, and you're into the tournament, and the most represented deck is Sky Striker. Do you really go into the event and say, yeah, my deck is losing against against a really powerful deck, and I just hope and pray I won't face it? Like, you can't. You can't enter with this mentality a tournament.
But
I
people
did
still do,
once.
and they get they still do, and sometimes you have to. Like if you just have a deck in your mind and you're just like, I love this deck, and that's not a proper competitive spirit, but you can go to it. But it's a problem that these
Well,
decks keep winning tournaments. That's a problem. Like a lot
you,
of the Blade Knight decks aren't prepared for Serpent Knight either. That's also a deck that struggles with Serpent Knight. And they just aren't prepared. They go through Swiss, they don't face it, and in Top Cut they never face it again because Serpent Knight is most of the time already beaten by that time. Because Serpent Knight isn't consistent enough to win multiple rounds of Swiss and survive a knockout.
like you can ignore some matchups. Like for example, just take the L against some decks, but not the best decks.
Yeah, like
Like if
go for it.
they're the most represented decks in the tournament, like Serpent Knight, Gravekeepers, Tribal, and you're not prepared against it. You can ignore a deck like, for example, what Jeroen played. For how it's called,
Meep Meep.
yeah, the fitting room deck or Relinquished. You can ignore that, for example, because they're not represented that much. But if you just ignore a tribal deck, you you don't even get into top cut.
No. Like,
Normally.
like if you ignore a tribal deck or a Blade Knight deck or a Gravekeeper deck, those or Serpent Knight as well, you shouldn't get to top cut. But for some reason, Serpent Knight is a factor that messes everything up. Like you have to prepare for it because you're probably going to face it. But for some reason, people sometimes just have the luck that they don't, and they get to top cut as well because they beat a deck that wasn't prepared for it.
I
Or they
did.
play against it and
Or
they
get
brick.
beaten.
The Serpent
Yeah.
Knight bricks both games and you get the free win.
Yeah, and that's like Serpent Knight is that uncertain RNG factor that messes up the tournaments on so many levels. And that's why you should be banned. And a second reason is like the fact that a custom ban list like this, because that's also a discussion. Like some people just say like, we agree Serpent Knight Dragon is a problem. Like some people agree with that, and they say like, I also agree that, for example, cards like the Gentleman Lock shouldn't be a thing. And then you feel like, okay, so these people actually have some insight, have some competitive mentality. So why don't they agree with the custom ban list? And that's out of pure principles. Like they say like
there are two different sides.
yeah, and
There's the people which are prepared in the main deck, there's also people which say, okay, I'm prepared with the side deck. Main problem is if I face somebody who's not prepared in the main deck against Serpent Dragon, lose game one most of the time because yeah, I have it inside. So I have to owe them with my side deck. I have to see side deck, and they're like, yeah, I have side deck for Serpent Dragon, so they have after game one to 2-0 a Serpent Dragon. The biggest problem is we have only 6 card side decks. And if you want to prepare for a big variety of decks, like let me say, I love playing Possessed Dark Soul at 2. This is already 2 spots away because it can counter Relinquished, it can counter Fitting Room. You get value out of that card in multiple matchups, so I love siding it. Because you can't ignore the stall matchup, you have also to play 1 to 2 cards for this, and maybe you want to play Ready for Intercepting for Gravekeeper or what's called Blast by Tribute, stuff like that. And then we're already at 5 or 6 cards. Where do I find the space to counter Serpent Dragon? And because those are specific cards for certain matchups, I can't put them into the main deck, so I can take out of the main deck the Serpent Dragon anti-cards and put them in the side. And other people will lose other matchups because they need to play 3 or 4 side deck cards to out Serpent Dragon. And it will always be I have to owe him now because he ignored it, or I have to owe him now because I ignored it, you know? And this is where a problem starts. You have always to owe your opponent because of some RNG reason because just Serpent Dragon exists. And this is one big problem for a competitive card game. Like, from the competitive view, it's impossible to perfectly prepare. You just have to gamble and hope maybe I get lucky and I face the Serpent Dragons, so I get the value out of my main deck. Or you're going like, yeah, maybe I dodged them. In worst case scenario, I have something inside, but you don't have enough side for other matchups. And you will lose the random first matchups against Skull Servants or maybe even Water, who knows. This is one big problem for me.
Another thing too is that, so like obviously, luck is a part of the game. You know sometimes you're just gonna hit bad matchups in tournaments, and that's why we have the side decks that you can try to, calculate like, okay, I need to improve this matchup, but it's not also just the fact that Serpent Dragon exists and it's a problem. It's like what would the meta look like if Serpent Dragon didn't exist? In my opinion, it would be a much more balanced and fair format if it doesn't exist. There's still going to be RNG. You're still going to lose to the odd Skull Servant deck. You're still going to get Command Knight locked sometimes and not have a reason, not draw an out to it. It's not, you're never going to have the perfect format, but it's like Serpent Dragon adds a ridiculous amount of RNG that, in our opinion, ruins the format and makes a good format, what otherwise would be potentially a good format, really bad. So we have to look at that as well. It's not just like, well, we just don't want to deal with RNG, so let's just get rid of it. It's like, no, we want to make a better format for this game, especially because, Konami doesn't seem, they don't want to do anything, and also not releasing another set in October, I think, is a bit of a mistake too. Even just like a starter deck or something. It'd be nice to see some more cards.
Yeah, that's so that's two things. Like first of all, I'm going to answer the question you asked about how would the format look, but that's one of the pros for custom ban list right now. Like, of course, it's not going to be official. Of course, it's not going to be something recognized by Konami or anything. But it gives diversity to keep the community alive until the next ban list comes or next set or whatever, because it gives variety right now. It gives a new format to solve, even if it's just for 1 or 2 custom ban list tournaments. Doesn't matter. It will keep the community busy. So that's one thing. But to your question about what will be, in any way, just for it to address how the format would look like, I would think that, of course, Tribal would take more spots again in Top Cut because, well, it's one of the most consistent and decks, and it gets +3 throughout the game, which is insane in a way. Uh, yeah, like the Tribal synergy skill isn't fair either in a way, but that's a whole different story. At least their monsters are doable, and there's a lot of ways to win against it, even when it's solved, even when it resolved the skill. Then Gravekeeper is probably still going to be a thing. It will keep a thing because it has powerful cards, and isn't that hyper inconsistent.
Power creep is always there.
Yeah,
So
and then we have Blade Knight, which would stay in Top Cut. It proved itself throughout this format, and I think it will keep on proving itself because people are starting to realize it's a good deck, and well, it is. It's easily outable by Warrior Elimination, which you will get. That will be something it will have to deal with, but people, especially since people will have the side tech space again to cite those kind of things once Serpent Knight is removed from the format, and tier 2 or tier 3 decks will get more chances to win against these decks than they have against something like Serpent Knight Dragon. Like, if those are the only
This is
decks
also
to.
where the thing is going to be better. Like Royal Elimination is really good against Tribal and against Warriors.
Yeah.
So you have already 2 side tech cards for 2 of the top meta decks, and this allows you to prepare just way more for other matchups.
And with a tier 1 like this, Ready for Interception could be played again. Like, even if it's just 1 or 2 spots inside, you could play it again because it covers so many decks. Okay, it's a dead draw against the Enchanting Fitting Room deck, Skull Servants, stall most of the time, so that's a bad thing. But against most of the tier 1 decks, which is then, at that moment, we would have like 3 to 4 tier 1 decks. That's more than that's as diverse as we should get it. And the tier 2 decks, like Skull Servant, Enchanting Fitting Room, those kind of things, have a chance against it. Like, the Enchanting Fitting Room deck even proved itself at the end, getting to second place. It was a Harpy Fitting Room build, but it's. I mean, how much more do you want from a format? Of course, you still have RNG, but we're a card game. We'll always have that, right?
always have RNG.
Yep.
It's not like we have dangers or something.
At least we don't have to deal with mana bases in Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, that's a terrible thing. But we don't have we can't mulligan our hand, so well we have a skill.
I really miss that sometimes.
But it's fair because mulligans are only needed in games where you have to play bricks. You necessarily have to play bricks. Like in Yu-Gi-Oh, if you play bricks, it's because you want a higher ceiling.
By the way, guys, did you guys just see the screenshot Mark posted in the tournament Facebook page?
Yeah, it's a screenshot of even Matthew Bell confirming that he thinks Serpent Knight Dragon is a problem and wants to deal with it. And Gentlemander, and he wants to deal with it. But the only problem Matthew Bell has is that for sets, people don't know. For example, the set coming out in what is it, November, December? Yeah, something like that. It was already confirmed. He already had to decide what would be in it before, like the characters, the cards, everything, before the structure decks even came out, if I remember correctly. That's how much beforehand he has to confirm these things to Yu-Gi-Oh! And Konami and have it approved and everything. So he can't deal with those kind of things on time by releasing new cards. It's too slow of a format. He can't help it. And the fact that, well, as we ourselves say, a lot of locals and players are still in a bubble or in a vacuum, and that makes it for Matthew Bell also really hard to communicate with the community. Like us, for this especially for me and Lex, guys like us need to keep making content, give updates, actually make all the information that you have to get from multiple places right now and put them in one place so that people like the players, but also people like Matthew Bell work on the project who work on it from Konami, so that they can see what's happening right now, and so that they can arrange things for it beforehand. We have to make sure that these things are known, previously informed, and make it public. Yeah. So
yeah, of course, we have
yes,
to make it public
yeah.
because otherwise people wouldn't realize that it is a problem. Like Marco just did the ban list, and afterwards it became a discussion. People were talking about it. Is it correct or not? It seemed a bit like a vote. And if you look at it, more people signed up for that ban list tournament than the box tournament before.
It's true.
How
This
many people are
is,
how many people are attending actually?
I think, over 50, 52.
Yeah, something
not
like
sure.
that.
For
So
a custom banless tournament, that's actually crazy.
Yeah, it's more people than the last box tournament. So this is really crazy. This just shows how people are like, yeah, I would rather play this than against Serpent Knight Dragon or an unbalanced format. This is like the community has voted. And Matthew Bell just realized in some Discord, and he had the discussion, and he admitted, yeah, guys, I know Serpent Knight Dragon is something we made an error. Like, for me, it's super cool. He can admit I made a mistake, and we're about to fix it. Well, we can discuss if it's still too soon for a ban list or not, because the ban list is also some way of forum to say, yeah, we had bad design, or we made a mistake, we didn't think about that. And it's also some way of admitting you made a mistake, but they rather prefer to bring out answers in the next set. The problem is it's until December, and I don't see myself playing for the next 2 or 3 months this format how it is. With the custom ban list, this probably changes.
It's exciting. The custom ban list actually is like, it's making us want to play the game again, especially when there's such a lull between the sets coming out.
There aren't any big events. Maybe YCS London has a giant card, I don't know.
It probably has, yeah.
Here in Europe, we don't have any big events before the new sets release, I think. Except maybe for YCS London.
We have both London and Milan. Because it's only 6 December. The new set is getting out in 6 December.
Yeah, because you just said maybe November, December.
Yeah, but I
didn't learn.
Jeroen just put it in chat that it's 6 December that it gets out. By the way, I just realized 6 December, that's 4 months after the last set. And that's 3 YCSs in between it.
No, I can remember, like, our organizer from Locals, he said that the sneak peek of the event from Speed Duel, that we can only host it at the YCS.
Yep.
On the same date as the YCS.
Yeah, it's the same weekend as the YCS. The Speed Duel Trials sneak peek is going to be the same weekend as the YCS Milan, and we are not allowed to change it right now. Not yet.
Yeah.
Oh, this really sucks.
Yeah, that's those kind of things made it feel to, like Matthew says otherwise right now, but those kind of things those kind of things make it feel like support. Yeah, like we don't get support, and like they don't want it for competitive players. They don't want it to be for competitive.
All the giant card tournaments will be one format, and this is a huge problem. Because YCS Ghent, I had the possibility to participate to giant card, but I decided not to because I just don't like the format.
I was 5 minutes late because of the main event.
Oof. I lost because my opponent played no back row, only 3 Dust Tornado, 2 Night Beam, and then a Skull Servant deck.
Yeah.
And Warrior Eliminations main.
Were prepared most for Serpent Knight Dragon.
Yeah, and he wasn't.
Yeah.
It was too bad. And then I lost. That's also a thing that I think about the giant cards is, like, They do it Swiss, which is alright. And then after 4 rounds, or 4, 5, 6 rounds, that's it. You don't get a top cut. You don't get anything. If you lose once during the whole tournament, you're out of it. You
Yeah,
can't
you
win
cannot just go
and
drop.
the second prize
There's
is the second prize or something
there's
is
no
like
top
two.
cut.
The second prize was two, like the second, third prize. Like if you went
Cool.
X1 was 2 Speed Duel OTS boosters.
Wow.
Did you get something? Prize roll?
If you went X1, X2, you got 1 OTS booster, which is like, it's better than nothing, obviously, but this just makes it feel like it's still a knockout tournament. Because if you lose once, you actually get jack shit. Or, well, whatever, sorry. Bleep it out after editing, whatever.
So it's fine.
Yeah. I can't even monetize my videos yet. I guess you can't either yet, right? Not 2,000 subs either.
Yeah, we still need 640 more. It's a long way. I'm more excited about being able to post to YouTube like you can on Facebook on YouTube. It requires 1,000 subs to do that, which is kind of annoying.
Yeah, a
It's
lot
nice
of
to
things.
update my audience sometimes, other than having to make a video.
Yeah, it's those kind of things that. Yeah, that's a whole different argument. Do we still have anything that we want to discuss?
Like the gentleman thing.
Oh, we already talked about it. I think, yeah.
Oh,
Well-
okay, I missed that.
Oh, no
Well,
problem.
one thing about Gentleman, if they just give us something in the new sets, like hammer shot or something, or Fisher or something, does that just solve the problem of Gentlemander? Just one single monster destruction card.
Like
Thank you,
Fisher or
man.
something.
But you can't say
for
fuck
me,
anymore.
it would be a consistent way to out it, because imagine they bring out Fisher. I'm not sure if they will bring it out because it's still too soon somehow. But if they bring it, it would be a fantastic card to be played in every deck, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everyone has access to it, everyone can play it, and I see myself rather having one of 3 Fisher in my hand than my opponent having 2 Gentlemanders on the field. You know,
And-
they need 2 Gentlemanders versus me having 1 Fisher only. So this will
and-
be a fix for the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but then again, we're just talked about Dicefoon plus Nightbeam, and then we have the aerosol wiping away the whole field, and next turn they have one monster, you just Fisher it, and
Yeah.
then we have that problem again.
But that's
maybe.
less of a problem because you can still defend with your back row.
True.
Like, the fact is, if you take all back row, you also lose your monsters. Because you have nothing to defend yourself. If you lose all your monsters, you can play new monsters and you still have your back row to survive. And as long as you survive, you can
Well, I see the
and your
problem.
back row can give you back your monsters, like Jar of Avarice and stuff. If we have so many monster destruction, Jar of Avarice will become more popular. Because you
And
can
just
recycle your
like-
monsters.
Just like Lex said, like cards like Tribute to the Doomed or Offerings to the Doomed, just cards with a cost that just destroys monsters. Maybe those are a better option than Fisher or something.
You probably are, because
Like-
with Fisher we'll
or-
get a weird
Like
format
Offerings
as
to
well.
Offerings to the Doomed, it's cuts you off your draw phase, I think. But
No, you have to
those
discard
are,
a card. Oh yeah, that one. Offerings, yeah. Offerings to
Yeah.
the Doom.
but
Tribute to the Doomed is discard a card.
but the problem is those are quick play. So we need something to destroy monsters, except for Manure Bug. And then I think the Gentlemander problem is maybe solved. But then we have another problem.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, because the fair part of Hidden Parasite is I have to destroy all my monsters myself, and the other side is I never can OTK through Hidden Parasite.
yeah.
The problem starts when I Hidden Parasite you, I get a monster in the field, I push for half damage, you summon a monster, I tilt it, I fisher it and I summon a monster and I have game.
Well,
Yeah,
do,
that's
do you think do you think
that's too
if
powerful, I
cards
think.
like Fisher exist, that aerosol still see play?
Yeah,
It will just be the best follow up after Hidden Parasite.
That's why Tribute to the Doom might be okay, because it requires you to have another card to discard, so you at least can't top deck it. Because a lot of the time, speed duel matches do come down to top deck wars, right? So maybe having like a requirement like that may be more balanced. But again, it doesn't, if you still have the ability to use it, it doesn't fix that situation that you just said, right? Because I think
yeah.
you can hit set monsters as well.
That's but
Mhm.
about the top deck wars, like the top deck wars, the only counter we have against that. That's why, sorry, the we need better decks like Tribal and Gravekeeper and stuff that gives more pluses during both turns, so it never gets down to a top deck war. But it eventually does most times, yeah. Like the Blade Knight deck usually gets down to top deck war. Of course, their top decks are way stronger because they summon 2000 beaters and stuff, but yeah. But
We also need more cards like Hyper Hammerhead. I find Hyper Hammerhead is a really strong card because it has
It's amazing.
respectable. It's amazing. It has
mhm.
respectable offensive stats, and it has defense built into it. Because I think one of my I did a video on dinos that's coming up. I think on Friday. The Dino deck. I don't know if you guys have played that much at all, but I was playing against somebody who played Gravekeepers, and I had Hyper Hammerhead in attack position, and I had Kunai face down. They had two cards face. They summoned a Gravekeeper's Ambusher. They attacked into my Hammerhead. I kunai'd in the damage step. No, because I was at 1800 because of Dinosaur Kingdom. So they had to kunai. Then I kunai'd in the damage step, like I kunai'd back, and then they kunai'd me again. So they won the kunai war, but because I was playing Hyper Hammerhead, it bounced their monster back to the hand, and they lost two kunais. So Hyper
It's not
Hammerhead,
worth
Oh,
it.
that's such
yeah, I think
that's
he made a
that's
mistake,
that's a
but
definite
the point
mistake.
is, yeah, it was a mistake. But the point is though that even if that never occurred, he comes down, he drops his uh, larger monster against me or whatever.
Or
Hyper
Oracle.
Yeah, Oracle. Yeah, against Oracle. I still have protection in the form of that monster. And it's not like, playing Maneater Bug, which is not an offensive monster, or playing Yomi Ship, which I beat somebody to death with a Yomi Ship before for 800, like 4 turns in a row, but it's not nearly as effective as something like Hyper Hammerhead.
Mm-hmm.
I have to agree. Hyper Hammerhead is a good card. Fun fact: the box tournament from Marco. I'm playing 2 Hyper Hammerhead in my Gravekeeper list even, and it's a fantastic card.
It
It's
is a
unreal.
fantastic card.
I wonder who was hyping that card up when the starter decks first came out. Who was the one who was hyping that? I don't
I
remember.
was never disagreeing with you.
I know.
Like
A
like
lot of
Hyper
people
Hammer.
were.
The only thing I said, what the only thing
I
I
al-
think most of us said was like Hyper Hammerhead is good, but at that time we were still like, what is going to be better because we were not sure about that, right? Because there were a lot of new cards that removed cards from the field. We still had to see
Yeah.
which one were the best. It was a fight between multiple cards, like Yomi Ship, Hyper Hammerhead, and a lot of others. The fact is, Hyper Hammerhead is incredible against Gravekeeper because it's the biggest out against
This is
Recruiter,
bounce.
and against Oracle it's good as well. So that, and Rite of Spirit is most of the time not live because it bouncing is better against Gravekeeper. Against Amazons, it stays questionable, in my opinion. Which removal of
It
back of that time was the best?
it always depends on the game state, I
Yeah.
guess. Like I had today, I was playing the last round of Marco's tournament, and there was a Skull Servant guy. He had the 3000 Skull Servant beta there. He attacked over my Oracle. He was at 2000 life points left. I just hyper hammered his Skull Servant, King of the Skull Servants, bounced it back, right back to Oracle, and attacked for a game. Like, it's a phenomenal removal, and it fixes Gravekeeper's problems not having enough normal summons. Before I
Yeah.
was playing the Dikochi, I think I watched Lex's video on that. He liked it. Thanks for that. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Hyper Hammerhead is somehow the better card
It's also
compared to other normal
Yeah.
summons.
it's also the only out against Zombina, I think. If it's in defense.
Yeah, I outed Zombinas today too.
Yeah, Zombina is
Yeah.
incredible as well. You just, except
Like-
for Hyper
like-
Hammer, there's no way to not trigger it. If it's on the field, you have to trigger it somehow. If you
Yeah.
don't play Hyper Hammer.
If some hammer, that's what I mean. Like Zombina in defense, just bounce it back. But if it's an attack, Zombina gets always triggered.
Mhm.
There's no way to out a Zombina
Trainee.
trainee. Yeah, yeah, probably. Yeah. But that's also deck specific. So
Yeah, I mean, you know, I was playing that in one of those in a Blade Knight deck because it gets boosted off of Command Knight.
Can somebody explain me how Book of Life outs Zombina?
Your room probably means like you can banish the targets for Zombina. That's what it probably
okay.
means.
yeah,
But
but if you have a full grave,
yeah, if you have a full grave, it doesn't work, obviously. But that's early game,
my-
of course.
And you need to play a zombie-based deck.
Yeah,
my
but that's not a problem, right? Just play Zombina. Oh wait, are we making a new problem here?
my stall deck mains 3 Zombina just for the float. Like Zombina is like the key card of my build
Yeah, but like
because you can't out it.
I can't
decently.
imagine playing stall without Zombina.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
probably all
the
builds
key.
play.
It's like the key card of the deck. Without it, I said it previously. Without it, you just lose against Gravekeepers.
Because one of the biggest things or best things you can do against, by the way, viewers or whatever, this is a big tip. One of the best things you can do against stall is go first. It's actually one of the best things you can do against it. First of all,
having
you don't
the
have
one normal summon.
yeah you win the tempo game by having 2 monsters against one of theirs every from then on. That's one of the better things, and you don't have the draw the first turn. That's also a thing. So they draw one and you don't draw one, which makes 1 card difference in their stall strategy. So that's one of the better things you can do. And Zombina solves this problem for stall a little bit because they can summon a monster that bounces the other one. They attack or destroys the other one of the two. They attack. Their other monster gets destroyed. Next turn, they summon another monster, so it's 2 against 1 again. And if they then have Zombina, it's 2 against 2. And so they keep on winning advantage and advantage. Without that, they would just go 2 to 1, 2 to 1, 2 to 1. And they would keep on losing advantage. And stall wouldn't be able to keep up.
I agree. But we have also to hope if the card pool gets bigger and bigger and we get more product, what will happen to stall? Because there will always be like the 1 or 2 cards which are usable for the deck. So I hope if they have game designers at Konami, I'm not sure. They have to watch out to put in also some cards against stall, because right now it's still a manageable problem, but afterwards they get some good cards which just strengthen the consistency of the deck and just make it way more easier to deck out people. Then we have again a format of 3 or 4 months which is not fun to play.
God forbid we ever get Lava Golem.
You can always cite the swords, against stall, but
if we get Lava Golem, then you guys won't see me playing for months.
Yeah, agreed.
I love Lava Golem.
Yeah, of course you do. You like everything that's toxic. Everything that's everything that promotes an alternative win condition, you love it.
Yeah, in the advanced maybe like.
I'm not gonna play Final Counter or something, but
I'm not lying. I already played FTKs and stuff, but
I hate FTKs. I just love grindy.
Yeah, he plays decks like Final Countdown and Mystic Mine for fun. So in the advanced form, just so you know, in us. So.
I
That's
played Secterror in Ghent. Okay, it's
yeah.
Yeah, you're the more control-based guy. I'm more the combo-like guy, you know?
yeah.
But
I
that's
know.
but that
Surprised you guys don't
we're
play
getting.
I love to do stuff, and you love to keep me away from doing stuff.
That's a good yeah. That, I couldn't say it better.
Okay, but we're drifting off. Lex, do you still have anything you want to discuss right now?
Okay, last thing I think we should discuss real quick is we've kind of touched it a little bit, but what cards do we think would be good for the game moving forward? Or perhaps maybe on a more broad sense, what types of cards do we need to bring into this game? Because like we needed a form of back row removal before, so we got Dust Tornado, Dice Foon, Night Beam. That was kind of a hole that was in the metagame. Whether it's a specific card or if it's like a more broad type of card, what do you guys think we should have in the metagame?
I
Lava
t-
Golem. Sorry.
I
Just kidding.
Leaf.
uh, I think the only thing we really need in Speed Duels is newer archetypes right now. I mean, I think the format is kind of okay. I think the only thing we really need is new archetypes that are able to compete with the previous one or are a little bit better. That's fine as well. And just have
And
something
and
that's
maybe a card like Fisher or something.
not
like we
even per
said.
se. I don't even think that's. I'm not even sure if that would be a good idea. I think that we would be glad with having that the first 2 weeks and then we would get sick of it. And more rarities and products, as Adam Leon is saying right now. Like those kind of things. I think those kind of things are more important actually. And I even think that the card pool is fine as it is, most of it. Like I don't think there are that many cards we really need, or that many kind of cards we really need somehow. I think we just need new archetypes to keep it interesting, to keep it new, and most of all, we need to have better tournaments more than any card. Just more
Like
support for the
actual
first.
tournaments.
Yeah, like even if like Matthew said, like there's not a community right now yet to actually host a YCS or something for it, an exclusive YCS or something. But even if we, but something of the level of European regionals would be great for Speed Duels.
Or even if they would just give us some prize support for these online tournaments, like, I don't know if Konami would ever do something.
They never
Konami,
support
Konami,
online tournaments.
Konami is heavily against online tournaments, dueling book, and
Yeah.
anything of the like.
Yeah, that makes sense because they don't actually make any money off of it. Oh,
It's not
that's
even
a great
theirs.
segue.
It's not even theirs.
Right. I was gonna say that. What do you guys think about Speed Duels getting some form of client? Because I was talking before about even just putting Speed Duel format on Legacy of the Duelist on the Switch game. Because I make some videos occasionally for Magic Arena, and I've been playing, Hearthstone and stuff like that. I used to play those kind of games, and I play Duel Links as well. And not only is it just more fluent and easier to play, the game on these games on these actual clients, it's just more exciting to watch. It looks better, it looks clean. People don't really like watching Dueling Book, as I love Dueling Book. I'm glad we have it. It's a great thing to have, but it's just not the most pleasant thing to look at. So, like, do you guys think we could ever get some kind of Konami official client for Speed Duels, whether they sell the cards, whether they just give us the cards and we get we pay for cosmetic upgrades or something like that? Because Duel Links has gone beyond where Speed Duels probably ever will go, and Duel Links is not the same thing, right? So do you guys think there would ever be something like that could do to replace that online tournament problem?
They could, but they won't.
Yeah, I don't
would
think
say
they will.
no. Like, if we ask for that, they will like always respond, "Yeah, you have Duel Links and stuff." I'm not sure, but I think they also don't have the right for it because Speed Duels is a TCG exclusive thing, and Konami Japan is the one on the driver's seat. So they say, yeah, you can, or no, you
Yep.
cannot.
Right.
And creating a game or some online platform, I'm not sure if they would ever agree with that, because it's under their name and they also want to have something from it.
Yeah,
Maybe if
that's
Konami Japan promotes Speed Duel and they allow it there, then maybe. But I see the reasoning why you would love it, because the biggest obstacle for content creation in Speed Duels is to show replays or a duel. To commentate dueling book matches is the best we can get right now. This is also like something. It's the only thing which keeps me away to try somehow to do content creation or something like that.
Yeah, I tried doing
yeah.
actual like film duels with like multiple camera angles. Like my brother's a videographer, so we actually tried to make it more exciting in that way, and people didn't really seem to care about them at that time. Maybe they would now. I don't know, but they were some of my worst performing videos.
Which ones? The
When I would, the ones where I would do live duels with real cards,
yeah, yeah.
multiple camera
Well,
angle kind of stuff.
we were actually talking about that and the locals. And we just put a camera on a table, or we just gonna play live for the entire day or something.
And here you hear it from himself. It just doesn't interest the people. It's very simple. No one wants to watch people they don't know play duels they could themselves. Like they want like if they see good people or an actual prestigious event, yeah, they'll watch because that has some excitement to it. And if they know the people, that has something against it. But it's Yu-Gi-Oh isn't interesting enough to watch just for the game.
Is it? Because let's take best example Dueling's meta. Um, he can easily explain the deck, show the deck profile, and then just show some replays. And because the replays are so quick, and Duel Links is perfectly made for content creation, people love watching it. Like
Yeah.
it's more about how you're doing these videos, like presenting a dueling book screen and then play for play explaining what happened. Isn't that interesting? But if
Yeah.
you have some fast-paced animations and you can scream when you OTK somebody and stuff like that, it's better, and
But
it
like
looks better having a deck presented with the Duel Links. How do we call that? Like in Duel Links, you just have the whole deck at the side you're playing, and this looks way cooler because people see the deck, they see how you build it, they see the duel. With Spittles, it's hard.
yeah,
Yeah,
you
like
can
I
actually
actually. Sorry, go ahead.
no, you can go for it. It's fine.
So yeah, I actually like make videos like that. Decayed and Duel Links meta is one of my, you know, biggest inspirations and something I kind of copy their format a little bit. And it works, but it's just it's like you said, not being able to have the deck at the side like that. And I try to make them as fast paced as possible. I cut out all the times where the opponent is waiting or something like that, you know. But yeah, it's like it works, but it could be better. It's just not
Yeah.
as exciting to watch, and like I don't know what we could do to make it better,
Like
it's difficult.
those kind of
Completely
things,
agree.
like the actual jewels. That's why I don't. I'm not sure if you guys ever notice it on my channel, but at my YouTube channel, I don't upload any of the streams I did where I actually play duels because they're not interesting to rewatch or anything. Like during the streams, you can do a lot on OBS and stuff. I can put the on OBS. I could just put a screenshot from Injure, just put it on the side, have one screen with the Duel going on, have one screen with my face on it. I could recreate all those things that Dueling just gives to its audience just by adding it through OBS. That would be possible. So that is actually possible. But it
But you
still
can
isn't
you
the
can do that
same.
also just in your in your video editor. Like, it's
Yeah.
not difficult to put images in the video editor, but yeah, like it's just not as fluent and not as flashy, and
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there I have to go with Lex's opinion. Like, you need this. Just compare Speed Duel video you guys made and then Duel Links meta video. There is still some difference. Even if you add the
Mm-hmm.
DAG and stuff, it's not that fluent. It's not that. It doesn't get me hyped if I look at the Speed Duel video.
Yeah, that's exactly. I tried
Yeah,
to
it's
try
just
to recreate it, but the only way to do it to get people hyped with actual normal Yu-Gi-Oh, like if we do it on Dueling Book or something, is by playing something that's actually, well, nuts to play. Like I play Time Wizard Control multiple times on my streams, just because that's at least something that you can do something with. Yeah, but it's still not the same because after 2 or 3 duels and after winning two or three duels, your opponent, your viewers are still getting bored because, okay, now I've seen that. I want something new. I want something exciting. You can't
Yeah,
keep
but this
giving that.
is this is why it's not possible at the beginning because we're early format anyway.
Yeah.
So we don't have the card pools to experiment that much, and we don't have that many possibilities. This is more of a thing we need to wait, and maybe one time we'll reach a card pool where some crazy decks can come out or some sleeper things and stuff.
Because we kind of
Like-
exhaust all the possible content within a short amount of time. Like I'm sitting here now, like, okay, dinosaurs might have been a bit of a stretch. What other deck videos can I make right now? Okay, Skull Servants. All right, is there anything else?
Yeah, but-
I'm not getting excited to play these decks, and I'm like, okay, I got to start doing podcasts with these guys and doing rant videos, and I got to start making more skits and stuff if I want to keep my content schedule going.
Yeah, like my most successful video is even though I have all those proper deck profiles and stuff, and like the most informational video I have is my most boring, and the video I like the least is my Serpent Knight explanation video, just how to build it in 3-4 different ways, and why you should play it, the explanation how the deck works and stuff. But my most successful video is the Infernity deck profile, which was a complete joke from start to finish. Because
it's entertaining.
It's entertaining, and that's what you have to do. Like I try to do the deck profiles from nationals, from Gent, from my own locals if it's now and then. I try to do this just to keep informational, but every now and then you just have to make funny videos, like entertaining videos, something that gives them. That's a hype. Like you said, you do skits sometimes. That's the kind of thing that you have to do to keep it fresh, to keep it interesting.
Yeah, but if you guys wouldn't be entertaining, then nobody would watch even your videos.
Yeah, some people
Like the
do
entertaining
watch
factor.
it.
Really? Because like for me, if I'm watching a video and it's not entertaining, I shut it down. Like even deck profiles. Then I rather look to find the list on the Facebook site. But if
I
the
agree.
explanations are good and the guy's still entertaining, like I don't know if you guys know Bowden Tamnik, but
Yeah.
he's a competitive genius. Like his decks are always good and stuff, but I would never watch his lists on a Facebook screen or something like that. I need to watch his videos. This guy is so entertaining. It's always funny, and he still explains a lot and gives you a lot on the way while explaining his deck. And this is something which it's a strength not everyone has, but if you have it, you're going to be a great content creator.
Yeah, I have
You
my.
don't, you don't
Excuse me?
Go for it, Youri, or whoever.
like most deck profiles are just I play this card because of this card because of this. This is a tree off because of this. That's not entertaining. You need to explain everything. And yeah, well, not everything. We know why we play Gravekeeper Oracle or something, but if you play a new deck, it's we want to know why it chose a deck, and entertainment. It's one of the biggest factors. Like I don't know if you guys remember Waffles or something. His name
Ah,
was like
waffles. Yes.
how was his name? The guy with the Mokis.
Yu-Gi-Oh! For Real
Like
Man.
yeah, like
Yeah.
people can't even be compared to those guys. Those guys were entertainment geniuses.
I mean,
If what?
yeah, no, go for
Yeah,
it
sorry.
first. Go. Ah, no, no, I'll let you finish first.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Like if you if you can just be like if you can follow like that sort of thing, you get so many followers even from advanced format, and the information. Yeah, I lost my train of thoughts. Fuck it.
Yeah, but no, but I get what you mean, I guess. So that's indeed something. Like those guys had huge followings. Like, for example, someone who was not information at all, like Asian Eyes, White Dragon, had a following just because he tried to be funny. That gave
Crazy
him
stuff.
that gave him followers. Like right now we have Steven Travansky, Farfa, uh, who else do we have? Like those kind of guys.
Farpa's really funny, man.
Yeah, like I like him a lot. I like him a lot because just because he's
Did you see
funny.
his
He
video where he
does.
was talking about traditional format, and he was like every time someone did something like kind of busted, he would like freak out, like, "Oh my god, he pot of greeted turn one, he's got the pot of greed." Oh, and you're like, and it's genuine, but he's really funny.
Yeah, it's funny to see him, and he's being kind of an idiot sometimes just for jokes and everything. And
Yeah, but
that's funny.
everybody likes dislikes Simo for to be too over enthusiastic, or how do you say it in English?
Yeah,
Like,
too enthusiastic.
but I actually like it. It's you need to be you need to have enthusiasm.
I
If you're gonna
dislike
do it.
Simo for other reasons,
It's
but it's
because he's
like
a nice guy, I think. But I like
it's
enthusiasm in the video. But yeah,
yeah, but he's
I
like
actually actually like enjoying watching Six Sam, Team Samurai.
oh right, yeah, of course. That was the one I was trying to think about. Yeah, that's the third one in my list from the ones we still have. Yeah, like he's
He,
so over the top, and he has
he's so
clickbait
over the top that
titles
it's
for everything.
entertaining.
Yeah, like
Yeah, it
oh my
always
god,
depends on it always depends on the people's taste. Like I'm only watching Farfa and Lithium, and
Yeah.
Lithium is because of his voice. Like if I had his voice, I would talk to myself the whole day. Like this is just insane how cool the voice is.
Well, we just watch Legend because he's our friend. He's from our locals.
Yeah,
So
the thing is more I watch him also from a competitive player's perspective. He's the one who's worth the most to watch. Like
he,
he keeps you
he's just
updated, he's
yeah.
showing interactions, he
He
has the
shows you
deck profiles, and the cross balance cup is way too cool.
I
Like
know
for
that's
me,
true.
from
he's
the
very
beginning
very
until
informative.
now, he's the best Yugi Turbetimon for me.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And Farfa because the
Who
meme
was the one
reviews
you
are
said was the
funny.
best? Sorry,
Lithium,
Lithium.
23 and
2300.
or like that.
Lithium Tin 300, yes. Yo,
Yeah,
what's
like,
up, guys?
yo, what's up, guys?
Oof.
Welcome to another Death Bro Dueling video. Yeah. Today we bring you
Don't butcher the voice.
he's a great guy. He's chill with everything.
We
But
travel
I
with
got
him.
goosebumps.
We travel with him a lot. He's a great guy, and his videos are top notch.
hmm yeah, it's I'm trying for myself as content creator. I try to be in between all of these guys, but
Yeah,
I'm
but
still
this is
trying
not
to
good.
find my own style. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
that's a,
you
yeah.
you need some personality in your videos.
hmm
Like you need your style. You need something, which tells me, you have to watch him because of this. Like you need something special.
It's
If
called the
you're
remix strategy.
Yeah, but it's not a good strategy. Let me explain like that. If I want to watch some guy talking about competitive decks, then I have the choice between now, let's say Danik does it, like he's doing everything somehow on his channel. And then I have a guy who's just only doing that. So I rather watch the guy who's only doing that because he's probably more professional with it, probably has more clue because it's the only type of video he makes. And that's the reason why I wouldn't watch Danik, because I don't know, he's doing it just because he can somehow.
Say psych right now.
It's not that
Say psych right
qualitative.
now.
Then what?
Say psych right now. You're not watching my videos? God damn. That hurts, man.
Well, I'm going to ask you guys then. Okay, so what do you guys think of my YouTube channel? How does my YouTube channel stack up in that way? Because I try very hard to be concise and entertaining, and I try to speak very clearly. So what could I do to improve as a content creator?
To be fair, I didn't watch any of your videos yet. I'm gonna go do that tonight after this stream.
Like I said
So,
most of the things. I said most of
I
the
hope
things.
it's not bad.
I said most of
It's
the things I
probably
think.
good.
How do I explain it? Like, I really love your motivation. You're that kind of guy the community also needs,
You're consistent.
because yeah, consistent videos, live streams, you're giving it all. You keep people informed and stuff. The only thing I don't like I sometimes watch your videos. The problem for me as a competitive player is I probably already know everything, so I don't have to watch your videos. Because
Right.
if you explain the Gravekeeper deck, I'm like, yeah, I already won a tournament with it, so do I really have to watch it? For me, it's more sometimes you maybe. I don't want to say you're saying something wrong, but it's not correct either.
Right.
Okay.
I think I understand what you're saying. So it's like okay, number one, it's like I'm my audience definitely is less of the the high level players don't watch my videos, it seems,
Yeah, but
because
that's also the good part, because the high level player who's that. Like I couldn't count 10 players who could name themselves I'm a high level player, you know?
right.
Like me myself, I'm not calling me anymore a high level speed tool player, because
Neither am I.
format isn't in that state where I would love to play and keep tryharding speed tools. But this is like maybe 7 people or something like that, and you're getting all the rest because of the way you are.
Right. Okay.
Most
We
of the
need.
things is I don't like watching some videos because there are some small errors in explanations, or you're getting maybe an idea of wrong or something like that. But
Oh, like an actual like metagame concept or something like.
yeah, like maybe I'm not sure anymore. When I watched the top 8 deck lists from the Konjic Speed Duel, I think you said something about the card. Oh, this is great against this, and there was like, yeah, no, absolutely
Yeah.
not.
Right. Yeah. Well,
But
that comes from me like kind of being isolated in my own little bubble here, right? It's like I just want to say to you guys, this has been awesome. I'm really glad to sit here and talk to you guys, especially like actually with voice, because I feel like I'm learning a lot from you guys, and it's nice to be able to actually interact with other people, because a lot of times I feel like I'm kind of leading a group of people. They're all, you know, either at my level or newer than me. So I have things to teach them, but I'm not spending any time with people who are better and more knowledgeable than me. So I'm not growing as a player as much. And I only get to test the metagame if, by through these tournaments and through Dueling Book. I don't have like serious testing partners. So like, I think that's where a lot of that comes from.
Maybe an idea for it will be like something like the podcast with live speed duels, where people like us commentate our plays and explain why we did things we do. Because imagine I'm doing a play, and then we can talk about why did I do that? How can I read your hand? What are my thoughts about that? This is something which could interest also the casual players, but also the competitive players to get the inside of other competitive people's mind.
I really like that. Yeah, I think we had a great start today, like towards doing that. I think this was a super informative podcast, and it's just nice to hear a bunch of different people share their opinions, and I'm sure the viewers like it as well. We'll have to see how well this video does, because it is a bit long, but maybe we've got the beginning of something here.
YouTube hated it. Will probably hate it, but if I look at my Twitch, this is probably one of my best streams right now. So because
Yeah,
I'm
but
I'm
don't
constantly
forget,
watching the viewers and stuff.
people
Yeah, me too.
love podcasts. Like
Hmm.
if I see podcasts which interests me about thematics, it's perfectly fine because I don't have to watch the video. I can just
Hmm.
put my phone into the pocket, put some earphones on, and do whatever I want and still get the whole
Exactly.
conversation. It's the
Like
most relaxing thing on the world.
podcasts
Like the
are.
size
Like a
doesn't
pure,
matter because I can also pause it, like watch a half an hour, and then I have to do something, so I can pause it. And then afterwards, late at night, if I have to cook or something, I can watch again the other half an hour of the podcast. So, like,
Mhm.
and po-
size should never matter for podcasts. There are
and
not
po-
that many people who will listen to them, but if they do, they will listen completely.
and they're getting more popular every day. Like Team Curry Bros are doing them every week now. So podcasts, they're a new thing in Yu-Gi-Oh. So why not in Speedle?
Yeah, the thing is also 10 people will listen the first podcast and they will talk about their friends. Yeah, go listen that podcast. It's actually pretty interesting. I learned a lot from it, and this is a road you guys can go with content creation
Like I feel
because
people here in my chat are saying like the question will be how much is there to talk about in Speed Duels if you want something like a weekly podcast or something, maybe just tourney updates and stuff. But the thing is like I mean in the discords notice that like in a week if we did it once a week there's so much to talk about. Even tonight I think we could go on for hours. Like
yeah, easy,
I'm
easy.
pretty sure we could do this for like 4 or 5 hours, and
Probably.
the only reason we would stop would be either because one of us was going to sleep or because our voices are giving up.
Yeah,
Probably.
Mine.
the
That's
easiest thing is also to make something like a plan. Like you need some guy who
An agenda.
yeah, like yeah, we're doing this for an hour, then we discuss this and stuff like that. Or maybe also answering community questions. Like there's so much stuff you can include into a podcast.
hmm
Like
Just
that's a good thing that Lex was doing. He was leading the conversation. But we need the conversation on paper,
yeah,
like an agenda or yeah.
yeah, maybe even
hmm
also like get the questions already sent so we can also prepare ourselves a bit for it.
yeah. It was
we,
pretty much
we
my
can
idea
ask
to improvise most of it because I wanted to have the conversation be as open as possible.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
we
this
had
time
I
like a
we can do it
general
differently
idea
in
of
a
what we
different.
wanted to
Yeah.
talk about tonight, but we
hmm
did like we stuck to that same kind of idea just in a more loose way. So next time we can like write things down more, and I can prepare like a background. Because right now my entire screen of this is just me in the bottom in the corner and the camera, and then we have Discord. Like that's been the background the entire time. So next time we do that, we definitely can kind of write out the topics. I'm really good at that kind of organization and stuff like that, and we can get that going.
Yeah, I've made my screen bigger with just a webcam thing in the middle with my communist flag and everything in the background, and then I have on the side I have the chat really big, so because they're part of the conversation for me. Like
Mhm.
we are here to talk about, but if they want to say something in chat, I'm here for them. That's why sometimes in the things I stopped and said like, okay, some people in chat are saying this. I think that's how we should do it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I had my phone open the whole time, but I think I should have had YouTube open. The problem is like I need to be in Discord to chat, but if I just download the app, then it fixes that problem.
Yeah, but I have the app and I could check it, but I have UBS open all the time so I can see the chat. I can see my screen. I can see what I look like while talking to the people.
Okay.
Like I can't do that while I'm doing Julian book or something, of course, but but during a podcast or something, or like we're talking right now, it's fine.
All right, guys, I think we've really did something good here today. So we should definitely get together again and do this. I had a really good time, and we'll talk in Discord and stuff like that. You guys can keep the premium Discord role that I gave you guys. I would like to do some kind of like top player council kind of thing, like Duel Links meta does, mostly so we can at least just vote on tier lists, so it's not just me sitting there making a tier list myself, with no
Great
other
idea.
input. Sorry, great idea.
Yeah, great idea.
Maybe that could be our next podcast, especially if we've had a couple matches of the new Winnabox tournament going on or the new banlist tournament going on. We could sit down and discuss where we think the meta is and do a real life tier list right there.
Yeah, we can try to do
completely
that.
agree, yeah.
Sure, certainly.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, guys, thank you
Sounds
so
like
much.
a plan.
This
Thanks
was
for having me.
This was a blast, and we're definitely going to do this again.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.